Second preseason game for Cam Ward and the Titans taking on the Falcons. We're going to start in the first quarter because that's usually how this works. First pass attempt of the game for Ward, buying some time in the pocket. How about that to Alec Manor for 35 yards. The man needed 6 for the first down, got 35. That is the good. A couple of plays later, we're starting to see some minor issues here. Be it the receiver, be it the quarterback, you be the judge. Van Jefferson couldn't bring that one in. The pass looked great. The hands, maybe not so much. Next play. Whose fault is this? Ward. Screen pass. Oh, that's like behind the receiver. So the first drive ends in a punt. We go to the second quarter. Titans now up 6-0. Ward back out on the field. Play action pass. And once again, the throw goes towards the sidelines. And once again, that is over the receiver. Tim Hasselbeck has a few thoughts on all of this. He's going to join us in just a few minutes. Next play, Ward. It's Bryce Oliver. So that's the second completion of the game. That was good for 7. But again, another overthrown ball. Ward just 2 for 7, 42 yards. In the end, did the Titans win? Yes. In the end, is it still a preseason game? In the end, do we still need to see more? Yeah, maybe. Final score, 23-20. And Hasselbeck is here. That makes me happy. Look, this is Cam Ward's second preseason start. When you look at how he's performing, what do you still want to see him do? Where do you want to see growth before we see him in the regular season?
Yeah. Well, you just want to see the completions, the success, the movement of the offense and scoring points. I think it's really what you want to see. What has been impressive is his comfort level and poise and really the arm talent that's on display. But you know that he's going to need help. Good example. This is a tremendous throw. This would be one of the best throws of any NFL, regular season weekend. Van Jefferson can't come up with it. And then, later in the game, they've got a 3rd and 2. He's trying to throw an inside fade. And quite honestly, this should be a completion. I don't think Eric Lamore, really recognizes the football and pick it up. Now, the other thing I think Cam Ward can improve on is sometimes take the easy one, the one right in front of you, the flat that's wide open on 1st and 10, rather than trying to force the ball down the field when the underneath coverage is deep on early down. So if you do that, you stay in more manageable 3rd downs, and then by doing that, you stay on the field more, sustain drives, and ultimately score points. So I think there's room for growth. He looks comfortable, and certainly the physical talent you can tell is possessed by Cam Ward.
So for the other side, at least Atlanta's side of the equation, Michael Penix Jr., not brand new to the organization, but we've also not seen him take a preseason snap yet, at least in the game. What are your expectations for him in the Falcons this season?
Yeah, listen, the Falcons aren't playing in a tough division, when you look at the NFC South. And it's a division that I think is open. And so, a lot of people, I think, are predicting maybe they're on the, flirting with a double-digit win season. And I think some of that is because Penix played a little bit last year. But remember, it's just 3 starts. And, Nicole, when you say it, hasn't played in the preseason. He's still a young player that's going to need to develop. So, look, I think that if they can get it going and he can play well, based on the talent around him in Atlanta, then maybe they can be one of those teams that's at 9-10 wins, but they're going to need him to play well. I think he will, but I also think there will be some growing pains throughout the season, so the supporting cast is going to have to rise to the occasion.
Look, say what you want about the NFC South. I personally enjoy the drama of anyone can win it. It makes it fun come later on in the season. Tim, cannot wait to see
the Chiefs and Seahawks. We saw plenty of Patrick Mahomes in the first outing. 1 pass, that is. He was chilling. Early first quarter, the 3rd and 1 is Jalen Milroe under center and Sam Darnold in the backfield. Milroe gets the sneak to pick up the first down. Later in the drive, 2nd and 1, Darnold handing off to a more standard running back. Zach Charbonnet to the crib. Michigan Brother puts the Seahawks up 7-0, second quarter now. He's trailing 14-0. Jalen Royals returning the kickoff. But how about the Seahawks kicker squaring up, getting the shoestring? Makes the tackle. It's always love when the specialist can make a play, regardless of how ridiculous it looks. Final seconds of the half. 1st and 10 at the KC 13, and Drew Lock finding Jake Bobo. Quite the effort off the fade route. Goes up and high points that bad boy. He had 2 touchdowns in the game. Seahawks win 33-16.
So, against Tampa Bay, he was 5 of 8, 2 drives, 67 passing yards, and also led them on a 65-yard touchdown drive. Against Atlanta on Friday, 3 drives, just 2 for 7, although a couple of those passes were not on him, 42 passing yards, and no TDs or no picks for the #1 overall pick. We now welcome in former Louisiana running back Emory Hunt. Last week, Emory, Cam Ward led the Titans on a touchdown drive in his final series. You said you wanted to see Ward start his second preseason game the way he finished his first preseason game. He did not. He played 3 series, finished 2 of 7, 42 yards. Are they doing it right with Ward through 2 preseason games?
I believe so, Chris. And the reason why I like their approach with Cam Ward is because you're expecting him to be the starter. He's unquestioned the #1 guy. So you don't want to have him play a lot in the preseason because that's just adding more games to a full 17-game regular season. So we're talking about the equivalent of playing 19 games if you played him a lot in the preseason. So I like the approach. And these numbers have a little bit of context, man, because he threw 2 dots down the field, deep down the field. Van Jefferson dropped one of them. That would have been a huge play to help extend the drive and keep them on the field. And one he threw out of bounds, but it was right in the bucket in the corner by the pylon. So I think he's doing a really good job. What I love about what I saw tonight was how assertive he was in his decision-making and how he was just trying to find little spots, little corners to fit the football in. And the receivers weren't ready for that type of play. So that's more of the receiver side of things instead of Cam Ward's side. But I like the fact that he was being assertive. He was being aggressive. He was making some tight window throws. And we saw the arm, we saw the accuracy, and we saw the toughness of Cam Ward tonight.
Yeah, it was everything that we saw at Miami, right? Washington State, all the way going back to where you watched him. So Cam Ward, yeah, he's going to be just fine in my opinion. Now, let's put a bow on this game, Emory. It is the preseason, so there are a lot of guys getting an opportunity on both sides of the ball. Who stood out to you on Friday in Atlanta?
Well, starting with the Titans, you look at Gunnar Helm, where his friends was at the combine, right? Because he had a bum ankle, then went out there and ran a 40, tried to show toughness, and ran some god-awful number, and that dropped his stock to where he got drafted later in the draft. He was my #2 inline tight end right behind Colston Loveland. The tape showed that this guy was doing exactly what he did out here tonight for Tennessee. 4 targets, 4 receptions, 48 yards, and a touchdown. So they got themselves a steal late in the draft. He had a fantastic night, just another weapon for a young quarterback in Cam Ward. And on the Falcons side of things, it's always tough for a running back in the preseason or in practice because you're just butting up against defenders. You're not really running through tackles, so you're not really getting a good gauge of what you're doing out there on the field. But in the preseason game, all bets are off. And that's why I love what I saw from Nate Carter, the undrafted rookie free agent out of Michigan State. Had 9 carries, 63 yards, a touchdown, had a nice 38-yard run, a 48-yard run, and also had 2 catches on the night as well for 9 yards. So I thought he did a lot to try to battle with Jashawn Corbin, who led the UFL in rushing this spring. You talk about adding games on the body. He just played 10 games. So